In a quiet village where chimneys puffed cinnamon-scented smoke and the cobbled streets sparkled after every rain, there lived a curious little girl named Cora, who didn't just love fairy tales, she lived them. At 6 years old, she wore her red cloak every day, even in summer, carried a basket full of snacks for emergencies, and greeted every squirrel with, "Good morning, little forest friend." Her room was a kingdom of its own. Bookshelves shaped like castles, a bed draped like a carriage, and walls painted with golden castles, talking animals, and stars that glowed in the dark. Every night her grandmother would read her the old stories. Cinderella dancing at midnight, Jack climbing the beanstalk, Beauty taming the beast with kindness, and Snow White waking to love's first kiss. But lately, Cora had noticed something strange. The endings felt thin. The magic seemed quieter. Even the pictures in her books looked a little faded, as if the colors were tired. "Grandma," she asked one evening, "do you think the fairy tales are still happening?" Grandma stirred her tea and smiled. "Somewhere, dear, they are. As long as children believe, the stories never truly end." That night, as Cora lay in bed tracing constellations on her ceiling, a soft tap, tap, tap came from her bookshelf. She sat up. Her favorite book, The Grand Treasury of Classic Fairy Tales, was glowing faintly, its golden letters shimmering like fireflies. When she opened it, the pages weren't still. The illustrations moved. Cinderella's slipper hovered above the step. The giant in the beanstalk story scratched his head, and the beast blinked slowly, as if waking from a long sleep. And then, a tiny voice like wind chimes whispered from the page, "Help us, Cora. The endings are unraveling." Before she could blink, a swirl of golden dust lifted her right off her bed and into the book. She tumbled into a world stitched from stories, a land where gingerbread houses lined the streets, broomsticks parked like bicycles, and signs read, "This way to the enchanted forest," and "Wishing well, 2 wishes per visit, no refunds." Standing before her was a flustered woman in a blue dress covered in ink stains and tiny stars. "I'm the story weaver," she said, adjusting her glasses. "I keep all the fairy tales running smoothly, but something's gone wrong. The endings are disappearing. No more happily ever after. Just..." And then Cora's eyes widened. "But that's not how it works." "Exactly," said the weaver, "and without happy endings, the magic fades. Cinderella might never find her prince. The frog prince could stay slimy forever. Even Little Red Riding Hood might not be saved." Cora gasped. "We have to fix it!" So, with a map drawn on a napkin from the Fairy Tale Cafe and a satchel full of emergency courage, which turned out to be jelly beans, Cora set off. Her first stop, the cottage at the edge of the woods. But when she knocked, no one answered. The door creaked open to reveal a confused grandmother and a girl in a red cloak. Only this girl wasn't as scared. She was angry. "No one believes in me anymore," she huffed. "They say the wolf's just a metaphor, that I should have carried pepper spray, that the woods aren't safe, and now the wolf never comes. What's the point of being Little Red if there's no rescue?" Cora sat beside her. "Maybe the story isn't about being saved," she said softly. "Maybe it's about being brave. You are brave. You walked through the dark woods alone. You asked questions. You noticed things." Little Red blinked. No one's ever said that before. Just then, the sky rumbled. A shadow swept over the trees. A great wolf with silver fur and kind eyes landed before them. "I'm not here to eat anyone," he said gently. "I'm here because I miss the story. I miss the warning, the chase, the lesson. Without it, I'm just a wolf who's really good at sneaking." Cora smiled. "Then let's tell it again. Not to scare, but to teach. About listening, about courage, about not judging by appearances." And so, under the moonlight, they played the tale. This time with Little Red outsmarting the wolf with clever questions. and the wolf learning to howl songs instead of fears. The page in the book shimmered, and the ending rewrote itself. And from that day on, the woods were safer. Not because there were no wolves, but because children learned to be wise. Next, Cora visited Cinderella, who was sitting in the garden, not crying, but planning. "I don't need a prince," she said, holding a blueprint. "I'm opening a shoe shop for hard-working girls. Glass slippers are pretty, but comfort is magic too." Cora clapped. "That's even better." And as Cinderella smiled, the story glowed. And Cinderella danced not just one night, but every day in shoes she designed herself. At the castle on the hill, the beast sat alone, fur dull, eyes sad. "She hasn't visited in weeks," he said. "Beauty says the spell's broken, but I miss being needed. I miss learning." Cora thought for a moment. What if the lesson isn't just about loving someone ugly on the outside? What if it's about growing together, about teaching each other? She brought Beauty back, not to kiss him, but to start a school in the castle, the Academy of Kindness, where monsters learned gentleness and humans learned to see past fear. The final page mended with golden light, and they lived not just happily, but meaningfully, changing the world one heart at a time. As the last story healed, the story weaver appeared, her dress now glowing. "You didn't just fix the endings, Cora. You made them deeper. You reminded the tales that magic isn't just in spells and princes, it's in choices, in growth, in doing what's right." Cora was whisked back to her room just as the first sunbeam touched her pillow. Her book lay closed, but when she opened it, the pages were brighter than ever, the colors richer, the words bolder, and in the margins, tiny drawings of her. Cora, in her red cloak, standing beside the wolf, shaking hands with Cinderella, laughing with the beast. That day at school, when the teacher asked, "What's your favorite fairy tale?" Cora raised her hand. "All of them," she said, "because they're not just stories. They're lessons wrapped in magic, and they're still being written." And as she spoke, a single golden firefly drifted in through the window, circled her head, and zipped back out, carrying a new story into the world. For as long as children like Cora keep believing, turning pages and adding their own courage to the old tales, the happily ever after will never end. It will only begin again, and again, and again.